The Miami Dolphins stand at a crossroads, a moment where every decision could be the difference between contention and collapse. The stakes, sky high. The margin for error, razor thin. Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel know this isn't just another offseason. It's the offseason. The one that dictates whether this team finally breaks through or continues the exhausting cycle of near misses and disappointment. And if there's one glaring truth staring them in the face, it's this. Miami has to fix its secondary. At first glance, it doesn't seem like an urgent crisis. After all, Jalen Ramsey is still around, and Kendall Fuller brings experience. But what happens if Javon Holland walks? What if Kader Kohou tests the market and gets an offer Miami simply can't match? What if Jordan Poyer, who already looks like he's on his way out, leaves an even bigger void than expected? Suddenly, a secondary that once had promise starts looking fragile, incomplete, vulnerable. The writing is on the wall. The Dolphins finished 25th in Pro Football Focus's coverage grade last season. That number doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's a reflection of what we saw on the field. Blown coverages, missed assignments, quarterbacks picking apart Miami's defensive backfield at crucial moments. With a new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver, this transition period isn't just a reset. It's an opportunity. But if they don't play their cards right, it could just as easily be a disaster. So what's the plan? If Holland is gone, do they draft a safety early? Do they invest in a cheaper free agent and hope he overperforms? Or do they roll the dice with what they have and hope it holds together? Hope, as we all know, is a terrible strategy in the NFL. But here's the thing. Miami's secondary issues, as urgent as they may seem, still don't overshadow the real problem. The one that could sink everything before the season even gets rolling. The offensive line. It's impossible to talk about this team's future without addressing the front five. Call it what you want, an Achilles heel, a ticking time bomb, the single biggest obstacle between Miami and legitimate contention. The fact remains, if the Dolphins don't get this right, nothing else matters. We've been through this before. Year after year, Miami tries to patch the line instead of fixing it. Year after year, Tua Tagovailoa spends too much time under pressure. The run game struggles in key moments, and the offense, despite all its explosiveness, hits walls against elite defenses. And now, they're staring down yet another offseason filled with more questions than answers. Let's start with the guard spots. Who's playing their next season? Because if the plan is to run it back with Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg, they might as well start preparing for another year of inconsistency up front. Neither of them is the solution. That much has been painfully clear. Does Isaiah Wynn return? He was solid when healthy last season, but a serious quad injury raises concerns. And if he does come back, is he even the best option? Miami can't afford to gamble here. They need a real answer. Then there's Austin Jackson. He's been better, which is a huge improvement considering where he started. But is a move inside to guard really an option? It would mean Miami drafting a tackle early, which isn't impossible. But is it smart? Jackson has played his best football on the edge. Do you risk disrupting that? The most likely scenario. Miami spends a day 2 pick on a guard and signs a veteran to compete. But will that be enough? And that's not even touching the real elephant in the room. Left tackle. Terran Armstead is a warrior. But warriors get battle-worn. He's never been able to stay consistently healthy. And at this point, hoping that changes is just wishful thinking. If he's back, Miami must have a contingency plan. If he retires, well, then this discussion goes from urgent to desperate. Is Patrick Paul ready to be the guy? The early returns from his rookie season weren't promising. Struggles in pass protection, issues in the run game. He looked like a raw prospect, not an NFL-ready tackle. Can that change with another offseason? Sure, but banking on it is dangerous. This is where Miami's entire season could be won or lost. Think about the teams standing between the Dolphins and a real playoff run. The Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles. What do they all have in common? They own the trenches. If Miami can't go toe-to-toe in the trenches, the rest doesn't matter. And then there's the unspoken reality that looms over everything. Tua's health. If he misses time, if the offensive line fails to protect him and he takes another hit he can't recover from, what happens then? We already know the answer. We've seen it before. When Tua is upright, Miami's offense is electric. When he's not, it crumbles. So sure, the secondary needs work. That's not up for debate. But if Miami truly wants to take the next step, it starts up front. Because nothing, not Ramsey, not Tyreek Hill, not McDaniel's offensive genius, will matter if this offensive line isn't built to survive against the best teams in the league. The time for half measures is over. This is the offseason that defines the Dolphins. Will they finally get it right? Or will 2025 be just another year of what-ifs?